What up, peoples? Just came in from outside. It's pretty warm out there still. Um, so I'm gonna wait a few minutes. But as you guys can see from the title, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give some examples what dry snitching is. What snitching is. You guys know pretty much what snitching is, but also the difference between a cooperator and an informant. Because I hear a lot of people calling this person an informant, that person an informant. They're not really an informant. They cooperated. But at the end of the day, still boils down to the same thing. But I'm just, I like to be correct on the details. You know what I mean? But give me 1 second, and I'm going to be right back. And we're going to start this, kick this mother off. Again, it's Michael, what up, man? It's Latino Heritage Month. And with that being said, Albert Pujols did he stepped over that threshold and hit that 700th home run. He hit 699 and 700, and then he became only the 4th guy in Major League Baseball history to have 700 home runs. And he joined Barry Bonds with 762, Hank Aaron with 755, Babe Ruth with 714, and now Albert Pujols with 700. Albert Pujols was already ranked 4th with 698, but again, he just crossed that 700 mark. There's only been 4 guys in history to hit 700 or more home runs. I just mentioned the guys. What's going on, Campbell Ford? Thanks for coming. There's only like, let me see, besides the 4 I just named, A-Rod with 696, Willie Mays 660, Ken Griffey 630, Jim Thome 612, and Sosa 609. Those 5 plus the 4 I just said, Bonds, Ruth, Bonds, Ruth, Aaron, and Pujols. So there's only 9 guys that have hit 600 or more home runs. 4 guys that hit 700 or more home runs, and 500. There's a few. There's about 30, maybe 30. What up, Sean? So yeah, give me 1 second, fellas. Peoples, thanks everybody for stopping by and joining me, and we're gonna kick this on off. And everybody, feel free in the comment section to drop comments. Any comments? The only thing we don't condone is personal attacks and attacking obviously people's kids, family, so on and so forth. But constructive criticism is always welcome. I never would trip on that. And feel free to ask any question that you have, maybe for me or Montauk, what's going on? Again, thanks everybody for stopping by. If you have a question you want to ask me, shoot it, and let's get busy on this comment section on things and see how it goes, and maybe we'll drop the link. You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see. But give me 1 second, peoples. Steve, thanks for joining. Everybody, thanks for joining. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. I figured I'd just have you guys wait a few seconds right here instead of having you guys wait for me to go live. You know what I mean? Sometimes I've been late many days where I was trying to take care of things and I had appointments in certain places, and for some reason I could just never get on here on the time that I posted. One day I had to change the date like 2 or 3 different times and still ended up being late. Keep hitting it. Oh, keep hitting it. Tortola. You're Italiano too, right, Tortola? I know you're in Canada, but like Claudio Peria, he's Italian, but he's in Canada. Danny Storage is in Canada. He's Portuguese. Jerry Gambuti's Italian, but he's in Australia. He's from Australia. Joe Delamira is Italian, but he's in England. So the reason I'm asking, because I got a thing where I like to put, like, for example, with Claudio Perry and Danny Stories, I'll put their nationality flag first, and then the Canadian flag, and then with the two cross hammer things. Just like when you see me, I put the Puerto Rican flag and then the American flag. So I do that. I do that with them. I try to do it with everybody that I know that if you're predominantly certain nationality. You know what I mean? Can you dig it? Can you dig it, Steve Tortola? Italian descent. My papa came from Camble Bosa. Camble, or is it Campbell Bosa? Yeah, I got a cousin. His last name is Borelli. Borelli. Borrelli. And he's straight Puerto Rican. Both parents are Puerto Ricans, full-blooded. But his father's last name is Borelli because back in the day, somewhere in the line, his peoples went from Sicily to Puerto Rico. And I believe, if I remember correctly from my cousin's story, wherever they were from in Sicily, Borelli was it was the name of the village or a little town or something, and they carried the name, like the Corleones. And then I also heard somebody say a few days ago that the Gottis are, that's the name of the area they're from in Naples, in that area, something Gotti, and they took the last name. I guess they did that a lot back in the day because a lot of the names were hard to pronounce. Some of these YouTube gangsters that have platforms don't think they're rats anymore. It's bizarre. Like, bro, I literally took the stand. Yeah, we're going to get it. Laughing out loud. Chooch. Hey, Chooch. Hey, the two of you. Come here. But, yeah, we're going to break it down. So we're going to do a little breakdown on this stuff because, like I said, people are called informants when literally, if you want to be technical, they're not informants, but they did cooperate. And at the end of the day, it boils down to the same thing. You're on paper. You're no good when it comes to your peoples. You're in bad standings. And depending on where you're from and what time era, don't get caught by anybody from that life. You know, and that could be in the drug dealing life, the gang banging life, whatever life. And I'm not saying, when I say that life, I'm not saying anything particular. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Skip? Thanks for stopping by. So we got Skip, Montauk, Sean, Steve Tortola, Campbell Ford, Mike Moormill. Okay, so, and any of you guys that are just tapping in now that didn't hear me earlier, if you guys got any questions you want to ask me, shoot it. And if there's, you know, definitely please engage in the conversation, or, you know, whatever I'm speaking on, engage on anything. You know what I mean? We don't trip on anything. This is for the moderators. Don't only block people that are attacking somebody personally, like, you know, if they're going at them, calling them names, or bringing up people's loved ones, people that have nothing to do with nothing. Knock them over the head with the hammer. You know what I mean? But other than that, constructive criticism, even criticism is okay. You know what I mean? I don't trip on all that. But anyways, I had to get on here too and get at you, my folks out there, because I'm very upset with the outcome of the game again today. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm tired. That's just a fucking sore subject for me. So anyway, so let's go. Dry snitching. Okay, I don't know if a lot of people are aware of what that even is, what that means, what's an example of it, or are they even aware that they're hearing it all the time and it doesn't register with them. So if I was, for example, this is going to be the first example. If I come on here, if I come on here and I say something like, this guy has court order from the judge not to be on social media, on YouTube, Instagram, anything like that. And maybe I might ask somebody that's next to me, ain't that right, John? And then John will go, yeah, that's right. As far as I know, the judge ordered that he's not supposed to be on any YouTube channels or doing YouTube or doing anything social media. Okay, that's dry snitching, right? Okay, you're not necessarily telling authorities, but you're saying it. You know, this could be out in the public too. You're saying something out loud, so it'll register in somebody else's brain and give them the thought. It's like planting seeds. You're planting the seeds in their brain to go out and now call somebody, authority wise, right? So you said the judge, blah, blah, blah. The judge said, blah, blah, blah. Can't be on social media. Okay, so now somebody grabs it. Yeah, dog whistles. Somebody grabs that, and now they start making phone calls trying to figure out who they need to get this information to. Oh, he's on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Just like another example. Is the guy still? You know, or this is another one I've heard. Is the guy still on federal probation, or is he on parole? You know, is he even supposed to be on here? You know, is he even supposed to? No, this is the one I heard. Is he even supposed to be talking to other guys in the joint? That's a like Sean said, dog whistle. That's the legitimate word, dog whistle, right? But we call it dry snitching. You know what I'm saying? Another one could be, somebody, a cop comes up to you and asks you something, and you'll be like, well, I didn't hear him say it, but I was told that he said something for somebody else. So secondhand, third-hand shit could be considered dry snitching. You know what I'm saying? When you're calling out for people, in my book, when you're calling out for people, or you're putting it out there that you're willing to to dig things up on people, and you're willing to pay them, even without that part, that's a form of dry snitching. You know what I'm saying? So basically, dry snitching is when you're not the one telling the authorities or the person of authority. So in other words, like a parole officer or parole agent, they don't even call them parole officers no more. They're called parole agents over here. Or in federal, used to be federal parole back in the day. Now it's federal probation, the federal probation department. So that's a person in a position of authority. So if you tell them, somehow information gets back to them, that's a person of authority. Oh, what happened? Oh, weird how Convict Inc. and Chicky both got called after going on you. Yeah. So I mean, come on, it don't take a rocket science. Like I said, that person the person that first put that out there, they might have called, but in some cases they did. But somebody that's a hardcore follower of theirs probably did. You know what I'm saying? If they got calls, most likely, yeah. So dry snitching is a person that puts things out there. For somebody else. So basically they put something down and then somebody picks it up and then makes the actions. You know what I'm saying? So again, like I said, if you put it out there that they're not supposed to be doing a certain something, right? You plant the seed in somebody's mind to keep it going and call their, again, person of authority that they have to check into, or maybe not them personally, but straight to their office or their supervisor. Sometimes people go right over their head and call the supervisor. You know what I mean? It's all form of bullcrap. You know what I mean? And I was already thinking about doing this video yesterday already, but it got late and I didn't want to do it from the car late because I had to go back out to the car. My like Danny Story says, my personal mobile, what did you say? Mobile studio, because everybody was sleeping in here and I get loud. I'm loud. Most of you guys are from the East Coast. Puerto Ricans are some loud people. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I didn't want to do that and wake people up last night, the kids. So I waited to do it today, right? Hello, I think this is my first time here. Okay, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. So I think I got dry snitching covered. You guys pretty much get that? Did it make it sound understandable? Comprehensible? But yeah, so just basically, again, I'll say it again. You don't necessarily say it. You're not the one necessarily saying it. Excuse me. You're not the one necessarily telling on them as far as talking to the person that's in charge of them, of their supervision, right? But like I said, the main one that I heard, this is one of the first ones I heard about somebody that's a content creator, and it just totally turned me off from even watching it, where You know, somebody, this is the example I use. Somebody has a YouTube channel, somebody is involved with IG and all that. They went on, I believe it was YouTube, made a video. And what happened was the guy says, hey, he's talking to somebody else. He goes, hey, wasn't it judge? Didn't the judge say that this guy's not supposed to be doing this and doing that or doing any social media? And then he waits for the answer. Yeah. He goes, now why is he doing this then? And that's dry snitching. You're putting it out there for somebody to take it and run with it, meaning call their pro agent, call their federal probation, call their landlord, call the cops, call whoever. If you're making, if it ends up getting to where what you said got to somebody and they reported you to a person of authority, or in some cases, person of supervision, which is still a person of authority, they have the power to lock your ass up. You know what I mean? Anytime you're playing with somebody's, and then when you just play with somebody's freedom like that, when it's, over some words, and it wasn't even threatening words, you know what I mean? The threats end up coming later from you, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. You know what I mean? What's up? Didn't do and Vito, the pit bull. Who else we got here? Skip. And we have Yankees. El Yankees for life. Los Yankees por vida. What are they? 61's coming tonight, boys. It is? What'd you get, a memo? They dropped you a memorandum. Did they say, get ready, thin dudes? We're going to go ahead and get the camera ready because old Aaron's going to knock one out the park. No, but if he hits this one out, that's tying Roger Maris. And I don't know if you heard me, but Roger Maris hit 61 homers in 1961. That's when he broke Babe's record of 60. At that time, it was the Major League Baseball's record, right? Now, 61 is the Yankees record, franchise record. But he hit 61 in 1961, and now 61 years later, Aaron Judd has the opportunity to tie it and break it. And he could break the record, period, but I don't know how many games are left in baseball. He's still down. He's down right now 13 from tying the record, 14 from breaking it. Barry Bonds was 73. Could you imagine trying to send B back to prison over YouTube? Disgraceful. Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's crazy. So if you're willing to do that, just imagine what you're doing, what you have done, or what you're willing to do behind the scenes on the down low. Just imagine that. 61, amazing. But then, don't forget to watch the game tonight. Yeah, are they still playing Boston, or who they playing? But you guys know Pujols. Yeah, Yankees knows already because he commented on the video. But Albert Pujols hit the 700. He hit 699 and 700. So he joined, again, I had mentioned this earlier, but he joined only Barry Bonds with 762, Hank Aaron was 755, and Babe Ruth 714. And now Albert Pujols was 700 for all-time home run list. Yankee. Oh, they're playing the Blue Jays. Okay. I don't think somebody had mentioned that Pujols can maybe be the home run king. He's 62 down from Bonds. So far this year, he has 21 home runs. Last year, he had 17. So at that rate, we'll round it off to, we'll just say 15 a year. He would have to play 3 or 4 more years, and he's already played 22 seasons. So I don't know how much more he's got in him. But, he's already got well over 3,000 hits. He's almost a 300 lifetime hitter, and then now 700 home runs. So he's got great numbers. He's definitely going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. There shouldn't be nothing that holds him back from getting in there. 700, what a machine. Yeah, he's bad. Yeah, I can't imagine calling probation on someone I've never met. Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane, bro. Just like, wow, man, I've just heard some shit that's crazy. I would never in a million years believe that I would hear people saying some of the things I've heard, like, maybe I'll write the judge and get him back to 5 years. Like, what the fudge? Shut the door, man. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But anyways, snitching. Everybody knows what snitching is. Snitching, you're telling on somebody. You're telling either the cops, detectives, security guards, anything that's going to be put in a report where you can possibly later have to testify. That's snitching. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's clear. Snitching is clear. But what I thought wasn't clear with a lot of people, I don't believe it was registering with them and really know what was going on, was what dry snitching is. You know what I mean? obviously dry snitching really. Charleston White. Oh yeah, Charleston White, boy. I don't know if Nelly Content Entertainment if you've seen, but I did a little short on him maybe 3 months back, 4 months, I don't know, 3-4 months ago. And he made a comment. Well, actually, he was sitting with somebody talking. I don't know who it was, but they were like, he says that, you know, if this social media thing don't end up working out for him, that he'll go back to selling dope, and he's not even worried about getting arrested because he knows of like 3 murders unsolved from the early 90s. And as soon as he said that, I know about 3 murders from the early 90s. The guy he was speaking to says, I was taught always to mind my own business. And right away, Charleston White says, not me, not me. And I dropped that. And a lot of people, I got a lot of views off that. I mean, it don't seem like a lot of views to some people. I got like 1.1, almost close to pushing 2,000. You know what I mean? But at the time, I only had like 100. I had about 140 subs. And right now, I only got like 260 something. You know what I mean? But I got a lot of views out there. I was surprised. You know what I mean? Cowards. If you go swimming, don't splash. You like that hat, Yanks? Yeah, it's something different. It's a different type of hat. I just got a new A's hat that I wore last week in some of the shorts, the gray one with the green bill. I like that one. But I'm definitely gonna give me some new hats. And I think I'm gonna do a video on my some jerseys. Not so much jerseys. Not really so much my jerseys. I don't really have a lot of jerseys. I got like maybe, I don't know, maybe 12. But my hats, I'm gonna do a little video on my hats. Just A's, Warriors, and Raiders. That's all I got. And then I got one bag of hats that are, excuse me, half of them are like old Raider hats and Warrior hats that I bought the same hat again later, new ones. And then the rest of them are, there's a brand out here. I don't know, because you guys, a lot of you guys are in different states. The California or the Cali hats. I have a little handful of those that I used to wear those. Well, depending if it was, because I was going to say I used to wear them at work, but depending if it's a summer month, then these hats I'll take off when I get to work because the sweat will stain them sometimes, depending. That's why I try to find hats that have all black, the bottom all black, everything black, because, you know, you touch it. A lot of the hats are, this one is green, so it's still dark, but a lot of these hats where right here where my thumb's at is gray, and so they get dirty and you can see the sweat coming through. So I try to, I take them off, and then I'll wear either, if I have a fresh haircut, then I'll just go like that at work, but I have my shades on. And then if it's a hot month, then I'll put one of those Cali hats or one of my old Raider or Warrior hats. Prayers for Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. Yeah. And Haiti, because Haiti shares the island with Dominican Republic. Also Vieques is the little island off Puerto Rico, which they're also Puerto Ricans. And anywhere else that is hit. Dry snitching can be when somebody talks to coworkers about another coworker doing something against the workplace rules loud enough so that someone they know will run. Yep, exactly. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly right there what Tim Egan said right here. That's exactly a perfect example of what dry snitching is. Let's read it again. Dry snitching can be when somebody talks to a coworker about another coworker doing something against the workplace rules loud enough so that someone they know will run to the boss about it and hears it. Yep, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so this is another part that I had in the title was informants and cooperators. Okay, so I hear a lot people being called an informant, FBI informant. They're not really an informant, they're a cooperator. Now, Whitey Bulger, Greg Scarpa, those guys that did stuff like what they did, those are informants. You know, anytime that you're giving information to the cops or the FBI or anybody, law enforcement, anytime you're giving them information, that's an informant. Okay, if you wear a wire, you're an informant. You know what I'm saying? A cooperator, Sammy the Bull, and some of these other guys, Panisi, some of these other dudes, they're not informants. They were cooperators. So they were locked up for a crime. They decided, well, not Panisi, but Sammy the Bull, they were locked up for a crime. They decided to give up information on certain crimes. That's an informant. I mean, that's a cooperator, excuse me. That's a cooperator. But I don't give a shit if you cooperated or you informed. At the end of the day, it still boils down to this right here. Just what it says at the end of that name. That's what you are. That's also called an ass beating. Yeah, and depending on what era it was and what area this happened, you shouldn't be around. You know what I'm saying? Now the reason I say that because nowadays it seems that certain certain deeds are not being no longer fulfilled on people that have done this. There's so many of them around. We all know that that's bad for business. Violence is bad for business, and definitely, death is bad for business. When it's done in a violent, when death is the results from a violent episode. You know what I mean? So they're letting a lot of this slide now. And I see that happening out this way as well, out here in the West Coast, as far as the prison politics, because we don't have. Well, I mean, we do have organized OC out here. The family that was out here in LA, San Diego area, and the ones there was a San Jose and a San Francisco. I don't believe they're no longer in existence. Even back then, there was only a minor amount of members. LA was a lot bigger, but even them, a lot of the guys were old, and I believe that, I don't really know where they stand at nowadays. But when it comes to California, the OC came out of the pen. You know what I'm saying? And then certain groups went to the street and they started organizing. That's why they get hit with the RICO as well. But that gangsterism is a little bit different. You know what I mean? It's like it's like they made a casual. What? It's like they made a casual to be a rat. Dry snitching is the way of the world. It's so sad. Yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip on how things have changed and things are different. Big little rats that go to prison, do they go to PC? Well, yeah. If it's no, oh yeah. Let me put it this way. That's another misconception. You got people will talk, general population, oh, that's PC, whatever. General population, there's people telling over there too. How do you think the cops get to know what's going on and know what cells they hit and know where to search on the yard for weapons and know where to search in the Volk area and all that? Like your job behind the walls, you might be a plumber, you might be an electrician. How would you think they'll know where to go to find weapons and stuff? Because people are always telling. You know what I'm saying? So if you got telling on yours and it's known and it's documented, like as far as you told on somebody and put them in the pen, or you got them crossed up, then yeah, there'll be a paper trail of that. And yeah, they should do that. But sometimes I've heard that. Well, I don't know if it would pertain to people telling, but I do know this from what I've heard and what part of the reason why California prisons right now are jacked up. You got general populations now mixed on the yards with PC. And from my understanding, Sacramento, because that's the headquarters for California Department of Correction, they were tired of all the violence going down on the PC yards. So keep in mind, when you're on a PC yard, you have nobody to answer to. You don't have to answer to your people. You know what I'm saying? So you can kick off whatever you want, whenever you want, right? And what was happening, part of what I heard is that if you're a weirdo, when I say weirdo, that means a sex offender. These guys, if you're a white or Mexican, if you ran white or Mexican at one time, when you're a general pop and you come through with one of those charges, especially on a level 4 yard, which is the highest level besides the shoe, or administrative segregation, which is the whole ad seg, you're in trouble. They were going to be trying to kill you. That's what I've heard. And some level 3 yards, depending where you're at. But definitely if you're white or Mexican, they were still checking paperwork. And if you had any funny charges, they were trying to take your win. Or I heard that they were extorting guys like bad. Like, okay, so the max on the main line, when I say the main line, that's when you wear blues, state blues, is $220 a month you can go.
When you're in reception, you can go only 110. So I was hearing that these guys were going like full pools. Well, full pool means 220, and they're taking all their stuff from them. Everything they would either give them a list and have them buy certain things for them, or when their bags came from the store, when they come back, they would just take it from them. And I don't believe that works. You know what I mean? I believe what works, you know, if you want to take their stuff, take their stuff, but leave them with something, because I believe that if you just take everything from them every month, month in and month out, eventually they're going to get tired of it and they're going to tell, you know what I mean, and get you caught up. And that could be another charge for you. You know, it's not just looked at like you're just taking it from them. It's looked at as like you're extorting them, and it also could be considered a hate crime. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so the yards are all mixed now. So basically what it is now, instead of it just being whites, Mexicans, blacks, Native Americans, and others, like different places is designated on the yard for them. Now what it is when these PCs come there, now they have their own areas too. And it's basically like, don't cross in my area or we have problems. So that's the way it is. When I was in there, was you'd have cats from the northern Latinos, southern Latinos, whites. And okay, so whites and southern Latinos would share the same side of the handball court. They use the same side. They use the same basketball court. They use the same showers. They use the same phones. They use the same workout bars, pull-up bars, and dip bars. And then the northern Latinos and the blacks share all the same things that I just said. The whites share, the blacks and northern Latinos share. When I say northern and southern, that means that part of California. And what would happen was, if Latinos from up north were right there, and say a white man tried to walk through there, or a southern Latino, they would be stopped, and they would tell them, hey, you're not permitted to walk through here. Go ahead and turn around and go back that way. And if it happens again, they'll take it as a threat. They don't mix northern Mexicans and southern. No, they don't. Not in the feds. The way the feds do it is that if there's an issue with different groups, what they'll do is they'll separate them, and they'll have their own yards. So the cats from up north, the big boys, I don't like saying the names, but they did a hell of a job. They went ahead and allowed a couple guys to take plea deals, get in the feds. They already had a well-ranked, high-ranking guy in there already, and that guy and the first couple of guys that were able to take the deal and go in there. All right, Yanks, be safe driving home. The guy that was already in there for a while, and the three guys that hit the system, fed system from the state system, they networked real quick. They figured out what was going on and how to work the system, and they did it. And now I heard that there's like 16 yards for the northern Latinos. From my understanding, the southern Latinos talked with administration and told them, like the warden and all that, social warden, that it was cool to keep so many northern Latinos on the yard, like 20 or something like that, and they didn't want them going over that. But eventually, that was done data, and it ended up being where they have 16 yards now, something like that, 16, 18, 14, you know. But anyways, so when, like I said, originally it was whites, blacks, north and south, paisas, everybody was, you know, they had their own areas. And then, like I said, that dude, the white dude might try to cross through there, or the southerner might try to cross through there. He'd be stopped, told him, can't go do that. And I don't think they threatened him right there, but definitely if the dude came back again and tried to do it, they would just take off. It wouldn't even be no more talking, because by him being stopped like that, they're telling him, like, okay, you're not permitted to come this way. They're telling him that, hey, it's no go, don't do it. If you're in there, you should already know what that means. Therefore, you shouldn't do it again. And if you do it again, you got coming what's coming. And that goes for the other way too. If a black or northern try to walk through a white area or the southern area, it's going to be the same thing. So I'm not saying that to be like, oh, you know, north this, north that, or whatever. You know what I mean? Holy mackerel! I want to last a minute. Why you say that, Steve? You be all right. But yeah, there's a lot of rules. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and we were talking about something, and a friend of his, you know, was confronted by another race saying it was okay to run with them, and then he ended up going to just different places, and it wouldn't have been cool, once he got over there. And I was telling him that I met some cats out in when I was locked up over here that were from Chicago. They were white dudes, but they were in Puerto Rican gangs from Chicago, and they didn't like the politics here, and they were like, "This is bullshit," because over there back east, well, Chicago, all those areas, even New York, the East Coast. Say you're with a Puerto Rican clique, gang, whatever you want to say, you could be white, black, even if the name has something Puerto Rican in it, you could be a different Latin descent. You know what I mean? And they were like, "Yeah, we don't like the politics," but he's like, "What can I do? I didn't make the rules, and I definitely ain't gonna break them." You know what I'm saying? Joe Delamura, what's going on, player? So yeah, so you know what I mean. So when they mixed these yards, at first, what was happening is they would take, like, say maybe 5 guys, 10 guys. I don't know exactly the number, but they would take these guys that were GP and they would go put them on a PC yard, and those PC dudes would beat the shit out of them. And then it was happening the other way around. Take 5, 10 general population guys, putting them on a PC yard, and they would get their asses whooped. And then eventually, which it had to have, I'm not going to say, yeah, it did happen, but just if you know what's up, you know what's up. The big boys were like, this is fucking up business. We're going to have to let these guys coexist with us out here if it comes to messing up the flow of the greenbacks. You know what I'm saying? And so they put a stop to all that. Okay, originally that was just level, I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did level 1, 2, level 1, and then level 2. And now it's hitting, well, I don't know about now exactly when exactly it was, but now it's happening on level 3 yards. And now a while back, and now I'm hearing it's going to happen on level 4 yards. So I don't know, like I said, money's the most important thing. So I don't think they would want it to get, like I said, mess the flow of the money. You know what I'm saying? Because when it comes to OC, money makes the world go round, right? So when these guys start being put on these yards, from my understanding, they just became like another group they were another group segment. And basically what it was, okay, you guys can be, whatever you guys are going to do, but don't be trying to, walk through our areas or use our stuff, so I don't know how well that's going to work, because there's only in the level 3 yards, which is a 270 design. A level 4 is a 180 design. Basically what that means is from that tower up there in the tower in the building. Cause when I say tower, you got the main tower on the yard, which they look out. And then you got the tower. Hold on, guys. Damn, Ghost of Panisi? Crazy. Let's see. David Hunt. What's going on, David Hunt? Where am I at? I remember I was talking about, oh yeah. So when these guys came onto the yards, they became another entity, and same thing, don't cross in our areas. I imagine that's how they would do it. Um, um, so yeah, so it's just all over the place with California far when it comes to that. Because basically, I don't know. I don't really know where you go with that. But back to the topic. So the informant, like I said, they're the ones that wear wires. They're the ones that give information to a pro agent, to a federal probation officer, to a police officer, to maybe the police officer that works his beat, works his neighborhood. You give him information sometimes. Maybe he lets you slide on some things. I don't know. It could be a pretty wide variety of reasons why you would give a cop information. Besides, usually it's for them to leave you alone, I would imagine, right? So if you're doing things and you don't want the heat, you'll give up information on people, right? I guess, and that's considered an informant. Okay. Now the cooperator, like I said, is certain guys on here they get busted, and eventually they decide. What's up, James Jameson? Sometimes they decide to give up information. First meeting up with the ADA, the assistant district attorney, or the federal prosecutor, or they might get with the agent, the FBI agent first, or the detective if it's a state case. And they're going to want to hear you out first before they take it any further. Do you think certain Mob 2 content creators get some of their answers from straight rats? Oh yeah, I'd imagine. I mean, who knows? We don't know each other personally, like people on here. We just met each other from the chats. How do you screen everybody? How do you know what they're about? So I imagine a lot of people, just like in the world generally, have called cops on people. Have reported things. Yeah, definitely. That's the thing too. Women, I don't consider even a guy that's a citizen that's not involved with no type of criminal activity at all. And say he calls the cops because somebody jumped over his fence and try to whatever. I don't consider that. You pay your taxes. That's what cops get paid from taxpayers' money. But there's a lot of people that don't dig that, period. If it's a woman or a man that told on you, they don't like it, period. You know what I'm saying? So they could, get revenge on them, have a vendetta, whatever. But I don't consider, and definitely don't, and really a lady that's a lady with kids and they call somebody, they call somebody and law enforcement wise, that's not, how do you hold them to that? Especially if somebody trying to break in their house or something, they got kids in the house, they got to protect themselves somehow. So that, that's what the cops are for. You know what I mean? I would never, that's something that I don't get either. Like people calling people snitches and stuff like that for just protecting their household. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Del Strain, I see what you say there, but what about a person that's an everyday person that's not a criminal, and somebody tries to break in their house or something like that, and they call the law? A lady with a couple kids in the house. I don't consider that snitching. I consider that her protecting her household with her with her kids there. But anybody that's involved in any criminal shit, or they shouldn't be, it is what it is. I hear people say sometimes, oh, well, you weren't in the shoes, da, da, da. But the thing is, when you get involved with certain lifestyles, it's your job to do your darndest to keep yourself from getting crossed up. You know what I mean? Because everybody knows that when you're in certain lifestyles, criminal lifestyles, everybody knows that Telling's involved. Telling's been around since, for a long time. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, right. Yeah, civilians are not criminals. That civilians are not criminals, then depends on the crime. Yeah. So, you know, I don't consider that. But people, like I said, people that are giving info to the cops or the drug enforcement or the narcotic cops, you know, to keep themselves out of jail. Yeah, since Judas. Yeah. Yep. That's how long that telling been around. So, you know, dudes, people that are doing that, giving up information to keep themselves from being arrested, being bothered. You know what I mean? That's a no-no. You know what I'm saying? If my house gets broken into, I would be calling the cops because of insurance issues. Would that me a rat? Would that you a rat? Would that you a rat? I mean, some people would say, yeah. No, I wouldn't consider that. No, but I've heard people say that same question. You know what I'm saying? For insurance purposes. And I guess that's just what you're conscious, you know, certain people's conscious. But yeah, no, I wouldn't consider that, especially if it's something that, you know, a lot of money, you know, fixing your car, fixing some damage to the house or something like that. No, I don't consider that. What do you guys think in the chat about that question? Sean's question I put up here on the screen. If my house gets broken into, I would be calling the cops because of insurance issues. Would that make him a rat? I say no. What do you guys think? Jameson, Dale Strain, Minnie the Butcher in the house. Here you go. Don't be a Judas. I hate housebreakers. Scum of the earth. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Scum of the earth, because when they're out there creeping around, we call those cat burglars over this way. You know, creeping around, looking through windows and weirdo shit. You know what I mean? See what Joe Delamura said? Sean, no way, you're protecting your asset. He said, James Jameson said, no, you ain't snitching on anyone. Yeah, that's another thing. You're not telling on nobody. It's a general report to cover yourself with insurance. You know, the only way anything would ever probably come about of that, like if you had certain items taken and you know, let the cops know what was taken, and then they went around and say to like pawn shops or something like that, and they told them, you know, what to look for if somebody tried to sell something. You know, that's the only way that they would get whoever took it in there. You know what I mean? That doesn't necessarily mean they're the ones that took it either, that broke in your house. But, you know, and to be honest with you guys, me personally, I don't dig people stealing from people, really. You know, I think I always minimize it, and I say, you know, if you want to go take stuff to go sell, go steal shit from a store. You know, they're insured, you know, go take it from them. But that's not the right thinking either. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Now you're good. You're good on that. I mean, otherwise, what? You got to pay a deductible out your pocket because somebody came and stole from you. That don't weigh out right. You know what I mean? So that's what informants are. Informants are people that give up information to stay free and you know, get out of jail free card type shit. Don't rob off your own bag. Rob banks. And then the cooperator that's very simple. You're locked up. You're fighting a case. You might be looking at a long time, and then you decide to, you know, tail. You decide to give up information to get yourself either off scot-free with time served, credit for time served, or get a sweet deal. You know, if it's something like murder, something like that, or armed robberies, maybe a string of armed robberies or bank robberies. You know what I'm saying? And you go ahead and decide, oh, fuck these guys. You know, I'm going to look out for myself, which that's fucked up because you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? You know what you're getting yourself. You know what you're doing. What about those that call parole officers? Yeah, that's no good, bro. That's straight no good. Why would you want to play with somebody's I mean, first of all, let's look at it. You're calling the parole officer, the federal probation, for what? Because you're trying to get the guy jammed up, right? You're trying to get him locked up, or you're trying to get him kicked off of YouTube, right? You're either trying to get them kicked off YouTube or you're trying to get them locked up. You're trying to get them reprimanded some way, somehow. And that's not cool at all. Dale Strange said 19 murders, Sammy. Yeah, that's matter of fact, MRE show yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. I caught it afterward. I didn't catch it live. But he had brought up that young girl that works with him or for him, Bella. I think her name is Bella. And they got an episode called Bella and the Bull. And he brought up how it was cringy. I think he said the word cringy. That's one of the words he uses a lot. He said cringy, and he hit the nail on the head because I had watched it the first time that they did that little thing together, and MRE said it's cringy that it would always every question he would like refer, not every question, but a lot of questions where it stuck out, he would always refer back to something like sexual or something. And I just think that's weird because that girl's young, like probably barely out of high school. And here this man is 76 years old. And it's just weird too. He said too, like, doesn't her parents know what this dude was about? Why would you condone her working for him? You know, and I thought that was weird. I thought it was creepy too. Yeah, exactly. I thought it was creepy. I thought it was weird. And I've never watched it again at all, period. Him at all, period. Even listening to his stories, because I know a lot of his stories is bullshit. Because, of course, you know, let's talk about the Gottis. Like, because, you know, that name's Gotti. Every time Gotti's been in the Time magazine or the New York Post or any of the publications out of New York, it got more sales. It always brought more. It always brought up more. You know, it got more headlines. What up, Timmy Hennihan? And yeah, talking sexual things with the young girl enough to be his. Exactly. It's just weird. It's weird. And then he giggles and stuff. And come on, man, use your brain, dude. Yeah, exactly. Probably old enough to be his great grandfather. Figure 18 years a kid, 18. That's what, 54? Yeah, that's old enough to be his great granddaughter. You know what I mean? Yeah, Jameson, great granddaughter. Yeah, so I never watched again. Even his episodes, because he has, you know, I'm not gonna knock. He has a good team of guys around him. What's his name? James Carroll, I think. But you know, I don't dig it. I don't dig it what's said there. I don't think it should ever be talked, like things should be said like that. It's just weird, man. Straight up weird. And it's, like I said, since then I've never watched anything he's had to anything else. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just weird. So he's a cooperator. Great example, cooperator. You know, decided after 10, 11 months or whatever, he wasn't going to do it no more. And he decided to, I don't know if he was the one that called or, yeah, I think he was the one that called because he let his peoples know first before he actually went all the way through with it. He got slipped out a door. Well, said he was going to a doctor appointment or something else. Went up there and talked to the attorney from that district, which I believe was oh man, what's his name? Tom had him not too long ago on Armchair. He's also the attorney for Chad Marks from Blood on the Razor Wire. I can't think of his name right now. Can anybody help me with that name? He used to be a judge. Now he was a district attorney back then. There you go, John Gleason. Yeah, John Gleason. He slipped out and talked to John Gleason, and then the rest is history with that. So that's the epiphany of a cooperator. Joe Messino, cooperator. You know, he even was found guilty and then decided to cooperate, wear a wire while he was in custody. The dude from Chicago that told on his dad, wore a wire on his dad. That's you know, cooperator. You know what I mean? Johnny Carson. So that's a cooperator. But like I said, at the end of the day, if you're an informant, if you're a cooperator, it still equals snitch. It still equals rat. It still equals you can get your ass handed to you if you don't watch your step and be aware of where you're at. Yeah, some people do think that. I've heard that before from a lot of different people on different channels that they think he was telling from before. I don't know. I can't call that. But uh, he acts like that. His whole, he's like, yeah, I put away 38 guys, but I could have put away 338 guys. It's like, oh, okay, what is there? Oh, you're not as bad as somebody else that put away more guys than you. Well, you're a turd that saved himself. You know what I'm saying? And come on, who believes that John Gotti's going to be sitting in the car a block, 2 blocks away, or whatever it is? He's looking to become the boss, and he's going to jeopardize himself being there. So what if he got caught up around there? You know what I mean? Their whole plan would have been. It just don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? It don't make no sense. A lot of his stories are full of crap. If I tend to believe, I've heard this said a few times too by other people, and I believe it as well. If Fat Andy Ruggiano was around, meaning on the streets, not locked up, I believe he would have been in the administration, and he would have been the liaison from the Queens, Manhattan guys with John Gotti and the old school Brooklyn cats. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, that's what they said. Sammy was the liaison between the old school Brooklyn captains and stuff. And I think that Andy Ruggiano would have took that spot. And I honestly believe too, if Frankie Chico didn't, what happened to him didn't happen, things would have been different as well. That whole story of Gotti being there is ridiculous. Yeah, it is. It doesn't make no sense. You know what I mean? It doesn't make no sense. Just like how they planned it out good, where Tommy Bilotti was driving Paul. You got the number 1 guy and number 2 guy. So if they only would have caught Paul, then Tommy Bilotti would have, took things in his own hands. Probably. They say he was a straight gangster, tough dude. His brother as well. Sammy makes himself. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He does. Yeah, he tells. According to him, oh, Sammy, nobody's ever said anything about you being greedy or you doing them dirty in business. And he says he didn't. But why are these guys that were getting killed? You were in business with a lot of them. You know what I mean? He was in big business with Robert, with DB. You know what I mean? He was in business with some of these other guys, and they ended up getting wiped out, and he took over. I think OJ's lawyer name was Shapiro. Yeah, wasn't the OJ lawyer Johnny Carson? No, Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran was one of his lawyers. Robert Shapiro was one of his lawyers. Kim Kardashian's dad was one of his lawyers. F. Lee Bailey was one of his lawyers, and Alan Dershowitz was one of his lawyers. Those guys were part of the Dream Team. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Sammy changes history. Now he says that he was, because he's from Brooklyn. Castle was from Brooklyn, and Musso were Brooklyn guys that basically like John needed him to go talk to them because they were Brooklyn guys. And of course he's gonna throw shade on Gotti, John Gotti. Oh, they didn't like him, this and that. It's nothing too. It's a crock of shit when anybody that says John Gotti single-handedly destroyed CN. You know what I mean? Come on. With all the killing, the goofy, ridiculous killing that Casso and Musso were signing off on over there, and the killings up in Philly or down in Philly, wherever it's at in the map, and then also what was going on in Brooklyn with the Columbos and all that. None of that had anything to do with nothing. Come on. And we all know that the RICO was once they figured out how to use the RICO, after reading Bonanno's book and getting all that, it was like a gold mine. What's the name? Giuliani figured out how to use it correctly. Keep in mind that law was written in 1970, I believe it was, and they didn't actually use it until 79. And it was a biker. It was in a biker trial. They had that law on the books for 15 years before they used it in the commission case. You know what I mean? Messino had a death penalty case when he became. Yeah, he did, and I think that probably had a lot to do with it. And too, by him telling, they allowed him to keep so much money, so much property. They took a lot of the stuff from him, but that house, you figure that house he had in Ozone Park, or was that no Howard Beach? I think it was. Yeah, Howard Beach. That house he had to be worth a lot of money. You know what I mean? And then he had restaurants, he had catering trucks, he had all kinds of businesses. You know what I mean? So they allowed him to keep so much money. I'm not sure how much, but you know. And that's when he was found guilty. It was a death penalty case, like you said, and that was the next phase of the trial, was the death penalty. Yeah, he got found in 6-8 murders. I think he only did what? He only did because he's out already. He got arrested in 03, the end of 03, I believe. So what did he do? 10 years? He's been out a couple of years. I don't think he's in good health because he's got to be at least he's got to be about 77, 78 by now. Let me see. 19, I think he's born in 42. No, 43, I think he's born. So 78, 79 by now. Yeah, 10 years. You know, he wore the wire on Vinny Gorgeous. He asked straight up, who ordered this, who ordered that, who did this, who did that. He was wanted already for the 3 Captain murders. He was wanted for George from Canada. That's 4 right there. But Sean says 6-8 murders. Yep. Let's see. Deeply instilled paranoia and greed. Yep. Deeply instilled paranoia and greed. I think that was with Caso Amuso and Scarfo, I believe. They were going to take everything from him. That's why he ratted. He was going to be broke. Yeah, he was going to be broke. He was going to be put to death. And then, you know, his family wasn't going to have nothing. So I know some of that came into play in the matter, but, you know, it is what it is. Look at Joe Piney Armoni. They told him he got busted because he became the number 2 guy for a minute there after DeChico's death, before Sammy the Bull. I believe Sammy the Bull was and I always have a hard time saying this word. He was a consigliere. Consigliere. That's how I say it. I know I say it wrong. He was the consigliere at the time, and Joe Piney was the underboss. He was an old school, old timer, and he was in court. The judge told him, I'll let you stay for the holidays before you turn yourself in, but you got to allocute. In other words, admit that he was a member, admit probably what his position was, admit who knows what else. And as soon as the judge told him that, you have to allocute, his wife started crying because she knew already that he wasn't going to say diddly shit. And it was pretty much a death penalty case for him too. He died in there. You know, no, he wasn't put to death, but he ended up dying in there. He was old at the time. He had to be in his mid-70s. 70s, at least in his 70s. Probably, well, yeah, because Big Paul was 70 when he got killed, and I think Armoni went back as youngsters with him, so he was about 70. Big Blue Silent G. Yeah, I know, it's Silent G, and I still can't pronounce it. Robert Duvall. What about Robert Duvall? That was what was his name in The Godfather? Hagen. Tom Hagen. What do you mean by that was his position? Yeah, but I think that's what you're saying. But we all know that wouldn't really happen in real life because he's not Italian or Sicilian. You know, back in the day, what I mean by that, the 20s, all the way up until the 30s. Yeah, that's what I figured he was saying, Joe de la Mura. You had to be Sicilian. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of the beef was, because Maranzano and them, they didn't think that you should be dealing with Jewish people. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure he was against just Italians as well. You know, Southern Italians from, you know, Naples or what's the other one down there? Naples or, oh wow, I can't remember that right now. Where Frank Costello was from. What's some of the other towns down there in Italy, southern Italy, the bigger ones? Some of the bigger towns, Joe Della Mura in Italy, Napolitan, Naples, right? And what was the other one they talk about a lot? I think Albert Anastasia was from there. Costello as well. from southern Italy. Not Naples, but the other one. Yeah, Calabria. There you go. Calabrese. Napoli. Yeah, Napoli. Uh, Genovese, Anastasia, Costello. Those guys were from mainland Italy, southern Italy. Maranzano, Bonanno, Lucchese, Lucania, uh, Gambino, Mangano, Profaci. They're all from Sicily, right? When they say the Castellamari, they'll go for war, that was Sicilians. And I think, if I remember correctly on what I read and seen and stuff during periods of time when they had that war, Castellamari War, uh, yeah, Mazzaria. I didn't say Mazzaria because I didn't know if Mazzaria was Sicilian or Italian, but I'm pretty sure it was Sicilian because that was still when the Sicilians dominated. He a lot during that Castellamari War. Most, if not all, the Sicilians were known by their face. They were known who they were, and that's when I understand they started bringing in Italianos from southern Italy, Calabria, Naples, the Napoli, and they started bringing them in. Mr. Neil wasn't Sicilian. I thought Neil was Sicilian. Um. Anyways, they started bringing them Italians in to do some of the contract work, or what I'm saying, however you want to state that. Let's see, Jewish gangsters helped for the commission. Murder Inc. was full of oh yeah, Murder Inc. was full of Jewish guys. Calabrians are tough. They don't shoot. They blow you up. Huh. What happened? Someone called him. Your girlfriend. Yeah, Capone's Neapolitan. So Neapolitan is what's is that? That's not which one is Napolitan? Is that if you're Napolitan? Yeah, the chin Napolitano. John Gotti was Napolitan, I believe, as well. So yeah, that's how that started. Then I remember reading too, like the Roy DeMeo story. They were saying because he was not Sicilian that he wasn't gonna ever be above soldier. And then I heard another story. This was a few days ago about after that happened with Paul, that Jimmy Brown Fiala made a comment to John Gotti that, oh, we got to stick together as Sicilians because something about Napolitans. And John didn't react to him, but later went to his club and say, hey, let me talk to you, and told him, hey, I'm Napolitan. That dude don't probably shit his pants. Let's see. ADX. Who's an ADX? That's another thing too. That story that Sammy tells about. Oh, I got the okay from some ABs to get this tattoo. Like, come on, dude. Those dudes were testified or were set to testify just like you testified. Those guys ain't in good standings. So yeah, I hope I was able to clarify what samples of dry snitching. And I don't think I need to explain what a snitch is and the difference between a cooperator and an informant. But at the end of the day, an informant and a cooperator equal snitching equals rat. Same thing. Dry snitching, nothing will be on paper as far as in a report. I mean, it can be, but videos, like there's been people on here doing that crap. But for the most part, a lot of times they'll be able to slide on that type of thing Vinny Bassian. Oh yeah, he's in. Well, he was in ADX, but I think what happened was they got the stand down. How they call it? They call it the step down program, because a lot of the big boys were in there, and now they're out on regular yards. AB rats like Michael Thompson. Oh, Michael Thompson's full of shit too. He said he took on seven NF members, and that's just not true. Now I heard he changed the story that they're paisas now. But he likes to revert to the DOM, and the DOM is Department Operation Manual. That's all the rules for California Department of Correction. The book they give us is called the Title 15 book. That's the book they pass out to us, meaning the inmates. And if you're in California prison, you use that to when you do your grievances, which they're called 602s in there. Your write-up's called a 115. The book that you look up that has all the rules is called Title 15. And when we put a grievance on an officer or a decision or a whatever, and that goes for anybody, the warden all the way down to a free staff worker. Free staff worker means the person that works in the kitchen, the supervisor person in the kitchen, the person that works the laundry. It's basically the supervisor, the inmate's boss in whatever department. Those are called free staff. Any grievance that's written from either free staff all the way up to the warden is called a 602. Okay. So when Michael Thompson tries to put his points across, he'll revert to the DOM, and he'll say, yeah, how could that have been true? Because blah, 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 blah. So in other words, he said this. It was his daughter that he claims to be his daughter, went to see him in Corcoran. I believe it was Corcoran. She said that she walked through these different gates, and then she seen Charles Manson or something like that. And then they took a picture all together. And Michael Thompson says, oh, but they don't allow that. California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation doesn't allow that. He's right. They don't allow that. But the year that she's speaking of, they did allow that. At one point in time, they did allow inmates, like say, I'm with my old lady or my wife, and the homeboy's with his wife or old lady. We would take a picture together, maybe a couple babies in the picture or kids. They did allow that. Now they don't. So he tries to manipulate the situations, Michael Thompson. He's full of shit. He's full of shit on a lot of things. Yeah, he was a high-ranking member of that group, but it wasn't even long. It was in the 70s. I think he went to the joint in like 75, 74. I don't think he didn't become a member right away. It was a couple years down the road, and then he started telling when he said it was a case where they wanted to kill a father and a girlfriend or something like that, and then he wasn't with that, which I understand. I can understand that, but you know, he still ended up telling. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You know. Yeah. So I think I covered everything pretty good, decently, at least on this video. Anybody you got any questions or anything, go ahead and shoot them. And I'm probably gonna hop off here in a couple of minutes. See if you guys got any questions or anything. Yeah, he's taking it like a trooper. Talking about Vinny. That's the thing, man. Those guys that I was saying a little bit ago that were in there when they came from Pelican Bay, Arnold Schwarzenegger signed off on their life sentences and gave it to the feds. They were already in the shoe for a good 35 years already before they made it to ADX. So I heard some recordings of them on phone calls, the three top guys at that time. And, you know, they weren't even complaining. Only the one said that it was just real cold compared to Pelican Bay, and that compared to Pelican Bay, which they didn't get no phone calls. At least here they get, I don't remember. I think he said 2 calls a month, and they're only for 15 minutes. And that if you call somebody like twice and they don't answer, that's considered a call, something like that. but they didn't complain about nothing. They weren't complaining. Um, so for Vinny, I don't think Vinny ever really did time when he got this case. He kept it zipped. You know what I'm saying? The way you're supposed to. That's part of the oath you take. So there's a lot of guys like him that kept their mouth shut. I mean, we can go on and on and on until the break of dawn. You know what I'm saying? There's so many names. But then there's also those ones that didn't keep their mouth shut. And then like with Panisi, they weren't even on him. They weren't even they didn't have him for no cases or nothing. And he decided that after his grandparents came to him and shook the crap out of his dishes for hours on end, that they were telling him to go tell. Now things have came out about him being paranoid and stuff like that. He might have showed some signs of that, but I don't believe to the fact that they hesitated to put him through, and I don't believe that part. I come on, give the leaders, or so-called alleged leaders, a little more credit than that. What's up, Mando Castillo? Vinny was actually, Vinny was acting at the time, allegedly. He was acting at the time, acting boss at the time. He was definitely going to take over. And I think he even did take over after that. Even that happened, and then he appointed his buddy, who's allegedly there now. I'm not even going to say his name. Great show. Peace out there. All right, James Jamison, thanks for stopping by, bro. As always. James, peace. Good peoples. Yep. So no questions for me. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down. I appreciate you all for stopping by. I got up to like 18 people in here this last time. That's pretty good. I'm very content with that. Like I said, as always, I appreciate all the subscribers. Be sure to catch us tomorrow. No Fly Zone. We're gonna be on tomorrow. We haven't been on in a couple of weeks. Maybe even a little longer than that. Might have been close to a month. Yeah, cool. Yeah, because I was sick for a few weeks, and then we hadn't been on maybe 3-4 days before that, and then now I've been all right for about a little over a week. So yeah, it's more pushing like a month. So yeah, tomorrow catch us 7:45 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're in California, Washington, Oregon, 4:45 p.m. Pacific time. And then if you're in between, like Midwest, hour or two difference. Yep, thanks. Yep. I'm glad some people caught me today live that haven't been on here yet, such as David Hunt, Mondo, Montauk, maybe. I think Montauk might have caught me. Del Strain. Yep. All right, Sean. Have a good midday, huh? Yeah, you too, Mondo. Have a cool day, man. Remainder of your Sunday. Back to work tomorrow. I had to take the day off tomorrow. I got to take the kids to school. Something was planned. I got to be taken care of tomorrow. So family wise. So, yep. Likewise, Del Strain. Gracias. Siempre, how would I say it? Que tú estás, I said, always welcome here. Que tú estás bienvenido para acá. Tú sabes. And, all right, peoples. Don't tap on out.